The Honda Motor Company is recognized as one of the most prosperous and prestigious automobile manufacturers in the world. There is not a single person on the planet who hasn't heard of the Honda Motor Company. But how did it get to this point of popularity? Who first founded it? How did he build such a massive empire? Do you want to know? Business enthusiasts, right? You all love the case study of business personalities. We know it, and that's why you're here. So entrepreneurs, welcome back to our channel Businessman. Today, we will tell you all about how a poor Japanese boy founded Honda. But before we go any further in this video, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so. And also, click the bell icon to receive updates on more interesting future videos. Let us begin. You're probably wondering who that boy was who built such a massive empire. Soichiro Honda was his name. Soichiro Honda was a Japanese engineer and industrialist who founded Honda, one of the world's most well-known automobile manufacturers. It was founded in 1946, and Soichiro would oversee its growth from a small wooden shack producing bicycles to the multinational automobile and motorcycle manufacturer that we know today. Honda began his career as an apprentice under Yuzo Sakakibara, who taught him everything he knows about automobile and motorcycle engineering, as well as business management. Honda's education under Yuzo would lay the groundwork for the man that he would become. This was a formative period for Soichiro, during which he learned a great deal about various types of motor vehicles. He would soon put this experience to good use when attempting to start his own business. Even though this new company encountered some technical difficulties at first, Honda improved his knowledge of metallurgy at university, allowing him to produce quality parts for his customers. During World War II, his factory was bombed, and an earthquake the following year effectively ended his first venture. Honda used the proceeds from selling what was left to Toyota to found Honda and manufacture some of the world's most famous motorcycles. The company went from strength to strength, eventually becoming one of the world's most well-known automobile brands. Now let's talk about Soichiro Honda's childhood. Soichiro Honda was born in Kamiya Village, Iwata County, Shizuoka Prefecture on November 17th of 1906. He was Gihei, his father, and Mika, his mother, Honda's eldest son. Gihei was an accomplished weaver, and his mother was a skilled blacksmith. Despite his family's poverty, Soichiro's childhood was filled with joy. His parents were adamant about the importance of basic discipline and instilled in young Soichiro a strong sense of honor and respect. Honda grew up to despise inconveniencing others and held punctuality in high regard, thanks in part to his upbringing. Honda also inherited his father's dexterity and mechanical curiosity. Bicycles were becoming increasingly popular in Japan during Honda's childhood. Customers began to ask his father to repair their machines, and sensing an opportunity, he decided to open his repair shop. Using his blacksmithing skills and eagerness to learn, he quickly mastered the fundamentals of repairing used bicycles and reselling them at competitive prices. From that point forward, his shop became known as the best bicycle shop in the neighborhood. Soichiro spent a lot of his childhood helping his father with his bicycle repair business. Honda was uninterested in traditional education. His school frequently distributed school grading reports to students to show their parents. These were to be returned to the school with a family seal to prove that the document had been reviewed by the child's parents. Soichiro Honda, foreshadowing his future self, fashioned the stamp from a used rubber bicycle pedal cover to forge his family seal. He quickly offered the same service to his classmates, who were diligently forging their family seals. Unfortunately, this had gone too far, and the entire fraud was exposed because Honda was unaware that stamps needed to be mirror image at the time. Although his family crest was symmetrical when written vertically, some of his friends' crests were not. Honda was fascinated by automobiles since he was a toddler. He would later recall how he could never forget the smell of oil that emanated from the first car he saw in the village. He even borrowed one of his father's bicycles to see a demonstration of pilot Art Smith's airplane, which cemented his love of machinery and invention. Soichiro Honda saw an advertisement for an automobile servicing company, which was Tokyo Art Shokai, shortly before leaving school in 1922. The advertisement was for automotive, motorcycle, and gasoline engine manufacturing and repair. Honda also discovered that his company had placed numerous advertisements in automobile and bicycle magazines. Soichiro reasoned that Ars Shokia had to be one of Tokyo's top auto repair shops and that there must be a lot of young men eager to work for them. Soichiro resolved to begin working for them as soon as he was able. So in 1922, at the age of 15, he decided to leave home and travel to Tokyo to work as an apprentice in an Ars Shokai garage in the Yushima district of Hongo. Employment was very different back then than it is now. Junior staff members were provided with board, lodging, and pocket money, but no formal wages were paid. Soichiro's time at Ars Shokai was extremely influential and would shape much of his adult life. Yuzo Sakakibara, the owner of Ars Shokai, quickly recognized Honda's potential, and Honda would learn a lot about engineering and business from Yuzo. As an engineer and a businessman, Sakakibara was the ideal teacher. In addition to repair work, he was skilled in more complicated processes, such as piston manufacturing. Motorcycles and automobiles were among the vehicles repaired by Sakakibara. At the time, ownership of these modes of transportation was restricted to a very small social class in Japan. The majority of the vehicles were also imported. There were also many large and small car manufacturers around the world at the time, ranging from mass production to limited production runs of high-quality vehicles. To that end, Art Shokai served as a literal crucible of fire for the young Honda, who quickly became acquainted with a wide range of automobiles and motorcycles. Honda's thirst for knowledge and eagerness to learn made his apprenticeship at Ars Shokai the ideal place for him to work at the time. Soichiro would put in a lot of effort to broaden and deepen his understanding and knowledge of automobile engineering, so much so that his level of expertise astounded many of his peers. When he was an apprentice at Ars Shokai and later as the manager of the Hamamatsu branch, the old man learned so much by doing real work with real machines, Kawashima explained. He wasn't just knowledgeable in theory, he was also skilled in practical tasks, such as welding and forging. Those of us who had only studied the subject on paper from an academic standpoint were simply unable to compete. After that, at the age of 22, he returned home to start his own auto repair business. Sakakibara would encourage Soichiro's interest in motorsports during his time at Ars Shokai. This was a traditional Japanese pastime that dated back to the Taisho era's early years, between 1912 and 1926. As early as the 1920s, this industry began with motorcycle racing and quickly expanded to include full-scale car racing. This became a very popular sport in Japan, with Japanese motor fans fully aware of other global races, such as the Isle of Man Tourist Trophy, Grand Prix, Le Mans races. Sakakibara decided to start making racing cars around 1923. Their first racer was an Art Daimler, powered by a used Daimler engine. The Curtiss was their second attempt. This model is still in working order and can be seen at the Honda Collection Hall. The Curtiss was built with a used engine from another American Curtiss Jenny A1 biplane mounted on the chassis of an American Mitchell car. The Curtiss raced for the first time on November 23rd of 1924 at the 5th Japanese Automobile Competition. It even won a stunning victory with driver Shinichi Sakakibara and engineer Soichiro Honda. Honda, then 17, would never lose his passion for motorsports after that experience. Honda was called off for military service when he turned 20. During the medical, it was discovered to be colorblind and was thus excused from military service. Honda completed his apprenticeship and opened his own branch of Ars Shokai in Hamamatsu in 1928. This would make him the sole trainee of Sakakibara to do so. At the age of 21, Soichiro Honda used all of his acquired skills and knowledge to expand the garage's services far beyond simple vehicle repair. His efforts earned him the title Edison of Hamamatsu. The above 1935 photograph depicts the Hamamatsu branch of Ars Shokai. This branch also produced a variety of other vehicles, such as dump trucks and converted buses that could transport large numbers of passengers. If you look closely, you should be able to see a vehicle repair lift designed by Honda himself. Honda stated about the device, "A human being should not have to do his work crawling around underneath a car." By the mid-1930s, the branch had grown from 1 to around 30 employees. Sachi, Soichiro's wife, had also joined the company to help run it. The couple had married in October of the previous year. She assisted by preparing meals for the live-in staff and keeping the accounts up to date and accurate. Honda was involved in a serious accident while racing the Hamamatsu race car at the Tamagawa Speedway in June of 1936. Another racer was coming out of the pits and was unable to avoid a high-speed collision. Honda was thrown clear of the car after his car rolled. Fortunately for everyone involved, he was not seriously injured, but his younger brother and mechanic Benjiro suffered a spine fracture. Despite the accident, Soichiro competed in another race the following October. With some coercion from his family, he ended his racing career after the 1936 season. "I had to give up when my wife cried and begged me to stop," Honda later recalled. On the other hand, his wife had a different take on the situation. "Was it something I said that made him stop? I believe it was a lecture from his father that convinced him." The following year would mark the start of massive change for Japan and the rest of the world. Japan would enter a dark period in its history when war broke out with China in 1937, leading to its involvement in World War II. Racing was prohibited during the so-called national emergency declared by the ruling governments. During the war years, many other motorsports died out. Honda was becoming dissatisfied with repair work around the time of his accident in 1936. He began making plans to transition into manufacturing. He initially attempted to separate the Hamamatsu branch into a separate company for this purpose, but was met with opposition from Arch Shokai shareholders. He had originally planned to start producing piston rings. Investors saw that the current workload and orders from repair work were generating a very healthy cash flow and were unwilling to take the risk of embarking on an unnecessary venture. Despite the investors' rejection, Honda was still determined to enter the manufacturing industry. He and a friend, Shichiro Kato, decided to form their own company for this purpose. As a result, Towaki Seiko Heavy Industry, or Tokai Seiki for short, was established, with Kato as president. Both partners entered the project, establishing the Art Piston Ring Research Center. Honda would work tirelessly at night, developing piston rings while also working at Arch Shokai during the day. However, their venture did not go as planned. A series of technical failures compelled Honda to enroll as a part-time student at Hamamatsu Industrial Institute to improve his understanding of metallurgy. Soichiro Honda would work and study hard for the next few years until he made a breakthrough in 1939. Confident in their design, he resigned from Arch Shokai and delegated branch management to his trainees, with Tokai Seiki serving as president. The production of pistons began in earnest, but the product was still plagued by problems. This time, issues centered on manufacturing technology rather than design. Honda and his partner had a supply order with Toyota Motor Company Limited at the time. Only 3 out of the 50 that they had submitted for quality checking met their high standards. Honda spent the next few years studying and improving his manufacturing knowledge by visiting universities and steelmaking companies all over Japan. Following his tour of duty, he had gained enough industry knowledge to improve his mass production process and supply high-quality parts to Toyota and Nakajima Aircraft. Orders began to pour in, and the company grew to employ approximately 2,000 people at its peak. Honda's plans for the future of his organization were obliterated when Japan entered World War II on December 7th of 1941. The Japanese Ministry of Munitions took direct command and control of Tokai Seiki. In 1942, Toyota was also given 40% of the company's equity, and Honda was demoted from president to senior managing director. As they were called off for military service, many male employees began to resign. The majority of female employees began working in the factory as members of the so-called volunteer corps to aid the war effort. Honda assisted in calibrating the machines and creating methods of automation for producing their main product, which was piston rings, in an attempt to simplify the manufacturing process for the relatively inexperienced volunteers. He also invented a type of automatic milling machine for wooden aircraft propellers at the request of Keiichi Kawakami, president of Nippon Gaki, now Yamaha. Mr. Honda's ingenuity impressed Kawakami. It had previously taken a week to handcraft a single propeller, but now it was possible to turn out two every 30 minutes. As air raids intensified in Japan in 1944, it became clear that the country was on the verge of defeat. Hamamatsu was practically leveled, and the Yamashita plant of Tokai Seiki was destroyed by a direct hit from a B-29 bomber attack. Another disaster struck the company in January of 1945, when the Nankai earthquake struck the Mikawa district and their Imawata plant collapsed. Japan's and Honda's futures were about to be completely transformed in the aftermath of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, as well as Japan's official surrender in August of 1945. At the end of World War II, Honda sold any salvageable Tokai Seiki parts to Toyota for approximately 450,000 yen. In 1946, he established the Honda Technical Research Institute with the proceeds of the sale. Type A, Honda's first motorized bicycle, was introduced in 1948. This bike was sold in 1951 and was powered by Honda's first mass-produced engine. Honda's first true motorcycle, the Type D, was introduced in 1949. This was the first model in the Dream series of motorcycles, with a pressed steel frame and a two-stroke, 96cc, 3-horsepower engine. The Type A and Type D models are listed as landmarks of Japanese automotive technology by the Society of Automotive Engineers of Japan. As president, Soichiro Honda would build the company into a multi-billion-dollar, multinational conglomerate known for its best-selling motorcycles. Because of Honda's understanding of both engineering and marketing, the company's motorcycles eventually outsold both Triumph and Harley-Davidson in their respective home markets. The following year, Honda reconnected with Takeo Fujisawa, whom he had met while working as a piston ring supplier to Nakajima Aircraft Company. Honda Motorcycles opened its first dealership in the US in 1959. Soichiro Honda remained president of the company until his retirement in 1973. After that, he remained a director of the company and was later appointed as Supreme Advisor in 1983. People magazine dubbed him the Japanese Henry Ford and included him on their list of the 25 most intriguing people of the year in 1980. Honda kept himself busy in retirement by working with the Honda Foundation. Even at their advanced ages, Soichiro Honda and his wife held private pilot's licenses. He also enjoyed spending his later years skiing, hang gliding, and ballooning, and he was a skilled artist at the age of 77. Honda and Takeo Fujisawa made a pact that their sons would never be forced to join their organization. To that end, Hirotoshi Honda founded and became CEO of Mugen Motorsports, a tuner for Honda vehicles that also create original racing vehicles. In 1982, the American Society of Mechanical Engineers established the Soichiro Honda Medal in recognition of his outstanding engineering achievements. This medal is given to individuals who have demonstrated exceptional achievement or made significant engineering contributions in the field of personal transportation. In 1989, Honda was inducted into the Automotive Hall of Fame near Detroit. Soichiro Honda died of liver failure on August 5th of 1991. He was awarded the senior third rank in the Order of Precedence and made a Grand Cordon of the Order of the Rising Sun after his death. Honda possesses a unique quality that most people do not possess, and this quality has contributed to his and his company's success. From 1959 to the present, his motorcycle company has been the largest in the world, which is made by the world's most combustion engines. His company's motorcycles continue to win many motorcycle races, which was also his dream. Not only this, but also cars and bikes. Honda also produces marine engines, watercraft, generators, lawn and garden equipment, and even aerospace components. Soichiro Honda is directly or indirectly responsible for the company's success, as are some of his qualities. So now you tell us which qualities you learned from Honda Soichiro's history, how Honda was able to become so successful with those qualities, and how you too should have such qualities in you to be successful. Share your responses in the comment section. And that ends today's episode. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, please give it a thumbs up. Also, remember to subscribe to the channel Stay safe. See you in the next video for another incredible story.